Okay.
Is it better now?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Did you get a chance to go over the videos or do some homeworks on AWS? And the videos were shared with you.
Yes, Anand. So basically, like I have gone through a couple of videos on the AWS environment. So I have gone through some couple of videos in Linux Academy. They are also providing the course for like AWS. For the basic purpose, I have gone through a couple of videos. Like they explained just a little bit about the course material and all those stuff. So, compared to Linux Academy videos, Udemy is like I feel like little bit more explanation about the AWS course. So once we get into the course, like we discuss the topics more into the like a pattern wise, or like we can get the more explanation, I guess, from my point of time. I feel in that way.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do some AWS work today. Shilpa, do you have any questions for me? Okay. All right, no problem. I see a new person here, Anil. Anil, can you hear me? Okay, mate. I think silence is always not golden, and I really don't like silence. I want people to speak up and talk. And if they don't want to talk, I'll keep moving. Here we go. So there are a lot of services that Amazon Web Services provides. There's EC2. EC2 is specifically falls under the compute section. So what we gonna cover as far as Amazon Web Services um, training is concerned is that the first one is AWS. The entire course is focused on the certification, the first level of certification from Amazon, which is AWS certified architect or solutions architect. Solutions architect. The first one is associate, right? That is the first one that we're gonna go over. In that, the exam is focused on EC2, which falls under the compute section. Yeah, compute standard means managing servers, load balancers. Yeah, servers and load balancers. How about security groups? Security groups are more like firewalls, right? They're more like firewalls. I explained that in previous videos or previous sessions there. What firewalls are. So security groups act as firewalls. Then there is um, S3 or storage. S3 is under storage section. So you can use Amazon Web Services as a drive as well, Google Drive, or you can put all of them, your content or your web content in a storage on on Amazon. So you want to create a website. When you want to create a website, you will have a lot of HTML files and CSS files. So they will be there sitting on storage. And parallelly, as a bonus, we'll cover something called as glaciers. There is also a storage aspect of it. But then glaciers are cheaper than S3 as you can store large amount of bulk uh, data that is specifically used for backing up information. Yeah. Then we get to certain network concepts, and this is very important part. VPC is a virtual private cloud, and creating subnets inside that. How do you handle that? What is an IGW? IGW is Internet Internet Gateway. So some of those concepts, point-to-point connections. How do you handle routes and edit the routes? That's something we will see in the network section, right? Identity and access management is important. So that's where you will be creating groups and users. Multi-factor authentication is also part of it. So we'll do MFA there, so that you will log in with just not user ID and password, but also a code. You remember, I typed in a code before I logged into AWS, so that's what we'll set that one for you as well. We'll see how you can log in with a different user and start giving permissions with that. Okay. What else we got here? Yeah, databases. How can we forget that? Database. So in the database section, I'll let you create an RDS. Maybe any of this RDS could be MySQL or um, PostgreSQL or Oracle, whatever you're comfortable with. We'll create one of them, a database in the cloud, which is a platform as a service. Now, we'll also do a NoSQL. All of these ones are totally based on SQL. We have something called as NoSQL as well, and Amazon provides DynamoDB in Amazon Web Services. So here, you're gonna use DynamoDB here. Yeah. On the some of the network section, we'll also do route. Anil, can you please mute yourself?
Yes, sir. Yes.
On the DNS front, we will also do Route 53 is something that manages DNS, and we'll take a look into that as well, right? That's good. So what else are we left with? Oh yes, how do you monitor all of those? Monitoring the services in the cloud. Monitoring the services in the cloud is done by CloudWatch and SNS, simple notification services. We'll take a look at that. Right. So these are the things that you will see in the exam as far as Amazon Web Services Solutions Architect Associate is concerned. Right? You'll see a lot of that. Rest of them, I mean, you see a lot of these services here, like this Lambda, there's GameLift, Amazon Internet of Things, Step Functions. Every week they will come up with a new service, and not all of them are something that can be covered in the exam. In the exam, they'll cover just these. Just as far as infrastructure is concerned, IT infrastructure is concerned, and not development. So in the training, we'll be focusing on the infrastructure only. So these things like code commit, code build, deploy, pipeline, they're not part of IT infrastructure. They're part of development. More of a continuous integration and continuous operations in an organization. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Anil, you have any questions? Maybe now you can unmute yourself and ask.
No, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have any question.
Thank you. Shilpa, you said my voice is breaking. Is my voice better now?
It is better now, sir.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go over EC2. Let's start with EC2. All right. I hope everybody has created their account in Amazon Web Services. Yeah. Everybody has a free tier account in AWS now. Because in the last session I said you got to create an account in AWS. I hope you have created one. Okay, so if you have created one, log into your account and say click on EC2, and we'll do the work on EC2 today and try to understand what that is. Okay. All right, my EC2 is up and running. I'm gonna brief this screen for a minute. So what you see on this screen is an EC2 screen. On the top right hand side, there's this button. It's gonna tell you in which data center you will be creating the instance, or in which data center you'll be managing the resources on. You can move over to any other data center in any of these geographical locations. Last week, Amazon came up with a new data center in Canada, which provides certain services. Yeah. So here you will be able to see a bunch of services focusing on EC2 only. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, where you can create virtual machines in the cloud, right? So if you click on this one, 0 instances running, there are hardly any instances. There's nothing here at all. And there's nothing here. I have not created any instance. So let's go ahead and create an instance and say launch instance, right? And as soon as you come here, you will see a menu with bunch of operating systems. There's Linux. This is Amazon specific Linux. This is Red Hat specific Linux. This is SUSE specific operating system, Ubuntu. And as you scroll down, you will see lots of these. There's Windows Server 2016, SQL Server. This is Windows Server 2016 with SQL. So the good thing is that you do not have to install SQL after installing Windows Server 2016. So if you are a database developer or even a developer, you're looking for a database to store your information, you don't have to purchase a license for SQL Server, right? You can simply pick up this AMI. This AMI is called as Amazon Market Instance, right? They're all in the Amazon Marketplace. Every operating system or every image of the operating system will have an AMI ID. All of these AMI IDs will be unique, right? This is SQL standard. So you can scroll over and you'll see so many tons and tons of operating systems as you scroll down. Yeah. Now, one thing that you will notice is some of them are free tier eligible, right? If you click on free tier eligible, some of them are not. If you scroll down, there are some of these which are not free tier eligible. That means if I select this and continue with the wizard, then I will be charged accordingly on an hourly basis. The rest of them, whatever is here, free tier eligible, are not charged. They are there for you for testing and development purposes, right? But in the list, if you fear any accidental selection, you can simply click on free tier only, and it will show only the ones which are in free tier. Yeah, so you will not be charged for any of these upon selecting them, right? So for now, I will go ahead and select let's say Windows 2016 operating system. Yeah, I'll go ahead and select Windows Server 2016 and say select that. Hey, am I audible? Am I clear? Hello? Hello, can you hear me now? Hello? 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 Now is it better? Can you hear me now? Sagar, can you hear me as well? Thank you. Do you want me to repeat all of this? Should I go back and repeat all of this, what I just said? I wish you could have told me in the beginning, yeah?
Anand, when you take the instances, when you start the open the operating system, right? When you choose the images like Amazon Linux and all, so we heard up to that, and later then this everything is fine.
Okay.
You launch the instances and you start showing the operating system and Windows version. Don't need to take the SQL, right? It's already SQL is installed.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm good with up to that stuff. So I heard up to that.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about other guys. So I didn't. After that, I didn't hear anything else.
Shilpa, can you please unmute yourself and then talk rather than typing, because I'm finding it difficult to understand there.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will.
It's easy for you to speak rather than just typing there, and yeah. So from which point did you not understand, Shilpa?
From here, sir, the page you have opened from there.
Okay, so this got bunch of instances, lot of instances, so many operating systems that you will see here. Yeah, some of them are free tier and some of them are not. Each of those instances or images, it's not an instance, it's an image. Each of these images will have a unique AMI ID, right? And if you scroll up, some of them are free tier, so and you got to pay for some of them. Not everything is free. So if you want to see only the ones in free tier, you can select the free tier only, and pick up one of them. So let's pick up Windows Server 2016 for now and select. Okay. So from here, you're selecting the resources that you want to supply to the virtual machine. They are categorized under general purpose, compute optimized, GPU instances, GPU compute, memory optimized, and storage, right? So you will be able to get high resources if you select, let's say, GPU instances. They will give you 8 CPUs, 8 virtual CPUs, and 15 gigabits of RAM. And this one is like 32 CPUs and 60 GB of RAM. So that is a very high performance machine, and you will be charged as well accordingly. So there are micro instances, there are general purpose instances used for general computing. Yeah. So for our testing purposes, we can select the one which says micro, or anything that's under free tier eligible. Okay. This one, which is T2 micro, is giving you one virtual CPU and 1 GB RAM, right? We will take over this EBS later on when we talk about EBS, and then say next, right? Let's leave these things as default. In my case, I have this one. I've renamed it as do not use a VPC. Do not click on any one of these hyperlinks for now, because we have not covered the network part of it, not covered the subnet. So let's leave it the way it is. So just make sure that this part, which is use subnet setting, is set to enabled. This means that when you say auto assign public IP, it means that you'll be getting a public IP. When you get a public IP, you will be accessing, or you will be able to access it from the internet, right? So for this, please try to understand the differences between a public IP and a private IP. What is a public IP and a private IP? You need to understand that. So Shilpa, do you understand what's a public IP and a private IP?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you select this auto assign public IP, the machine that you're creating will be given a public IP. If you do not select that, it will be getting a private IP. And what it means is that you will not be able to access it from the internet. So make sure that you are able to set this up as enable, or if the subnet is already giving it as enable, that's good. Now, one thing that I want to tell you is that we are selecting, or we are creating this virtual machine in North Virginia, right? Now in North Virginia, there are a couple of availability zones. There are 4 availability zones in North Virginia. That doesn't mean that every region will have 4 availability zones. It's just North Virginia has four availability zones. The rest of them may have, may not have. Some may have more. Like, for example, Canada has 2 availability zones. Mumbai has 2 availability zones. Ireland has 3 availability zones. What is an availability zone? What's the difference between a region? Region is a big data center within which there are isolated sections, which are connected with a low latency link. So they are availability zones. So it's like we just simply create a MS Paint. Let's consider this as a massive data center, right? Remember initially when I was talking about data centers, and I was saying that Amazon Web Services has data centers which are as big as 11 to 15 football fields. That's how big they are. So let's consider this as a box. Now inside this box, what Amazon will have is something called as availability zone. So that's one AZ, another AZ, and another AZ. AZ is availability zone. So these are called as availability zones, AZ. And this entire box is a region, North Virginia in this case, right? Of course, these are connected as well. AZ1 and AZ2, AZ1, 2, 3, 4, was they call it as A, B, C, D, are all connected with very low latency links. Good? Good so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, so with that settings there, we will cover these. You can just leave it for now, and leave them as default and move on to the storage section, because I will explain these sections. Identity and access management is left. Just start of EC2 I'll explain them as we move on to the instance. Yeah. Another important part is tenancy. Tenancy is whether you want to, or whether you want your instance to reside with other machines or not, or do you want a dedicated instance, right? Keep in mind that you are actually creating a virtual machine, and virtual machine will reside with other machines as well. But if you want a dedicated host, you can select a dedicated one. There is a definite high charge if you select the dedicated one. Do not select dedicated in this case, but I wanted to make you understand the differences between shared and dedicated. So tenancy is that your virtual machine or the resource that you're creating will reside with other machines, and other machines could be owned by other customers somewhere in some part of the world, whereas dedicated is for you only. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you got storage. The storage is C drive. You can consider this as a C drive, which is like 30 GB. You can add more volumes as well, like D drive, E drive, F drive. You can add more, right? But as you see, this one is a root volume, and this one is a elastic block storage, EBS. EBS stands for elastic block storage, right? The base volume, which is a C drive, in this case, Linux users will know root. Root is a root partition, but C drive is no different from root partition. C drive is also a root partition here. So your C volume is not encrypted by default, right? And when you delete an instance, this will get deleted as well. The IOPS are 100 per 3000. That is because you have selected a general purpose SSD that is coming with default. SSD is a solid state disk. Whereas you can also select a magnetic one, which is low in performance, or you can select a high performance one, which is SSD 101. It will give you a better performance, or you can change it as well. Yeah, let's leave it as default. You can modify this 30 GB to 40 GB or whatever, but as you see here, free tier customers can get up to 30 GB of EBS general purpose or a magnetic disk. So if you want to stay within the limits of a free tier, if you do not want to get charged, go for 30 GB and no more than that. Yeah. And you can of course select more volumes as well, but I would say stay away from that unless if you want to practice and test around. Yeah, you can go ahead and add that. And one thing that I want to tell you, that you can add EBS volumes or additional volumes later on as well. So once your machine is created, you can definitely create a new volume and attach that volume to your virtual machine. Next. Here you're going to add some taggings and say, okay, it's a web server. Just give it a name so that later on you will be able to understand what that machine is. Yeah. So maybe after a while, after 3 or 4 months, you will have tens and tens of machines running in your data center. You need to recognize what is what. So just giving them a value, and you can add more tags as well. Owner, give it as a web server, team, managed by. You will just tag it, whatever name you want to give it, yeah. Like that, yeah. Okay. Next, you create a security group. This is so important. Security groups are something that will allow and deny access to the resource that you're creating. right? RDP, I actually shared a port number. Just a moment. So I actually shared something earlier in my Google Drive. Remember that had ports and protocols with all port numbers in there. So I hope,
Yes, sir.
yeah, not able to get that now. Let me see if I can pick it up and show it to you on the screen. Um, this one, right? So you need to understand these ports and protocols as well for communication. So the computers, servers, or any resource for that matter will use protocols and port numbers for their purpose. So when you do Control Alt Delete and user ID and password, you type in your user ID and password in your at your home PC. It's using NTLM, NT-LAN Manager Authentication. If you do the same thing in Office, you type your user ID, password, hit enter in Office, it's using Kerberos. That means it's using port number 88. The browsing that you're doing is going on in HTTP, it uses port number 80. DNS queries are running on port number 53. And if you want to RDP to a particular remote server, remotely access a server, is done on port number 3389, specifically for Microsoft services. If you want to remotely connect to a Linux server, that will be done on port number 22, right? So you gotta be understanding these. Okay. So in this case, I want to allow port RDP, and it picked up 3389 automatically. And here it is giving you an option whether you want to access it from my IP itself, or my IP is my public IP only. This is my public IP and you will not be able to access it from anywhere else. Yeah. Or do you want to access it from anywhere? So 0000/0 is anywhere. The whole internet, the whole world is 000. Or you can give a custom IP and say, okay, I want to access it only from a particular security group or a particular IP or a particular CIDR. Yeah. So for now, let's click anywhere and say review all of that what you selected and say launch. Yeah. This is very important now. If you want to access this guy from the internet, then you need to have the user ID and password. This is just say web server. Okay. So you gotta download it, and this is something that will help you decrypt your password, right? It's kind of a public key and a private key combination. The one that you're downloading is a private key, so you have to store it in a safe location because it is not downloadable again and again. Once I click on launch instance, that's it, it's gone. You will never be able to see that file again. So you have to make sure that you keep this file safely, webserver.pem safely. Yeah. So you can click on view launch log and it's going to slowly finish up doing those activities, or you can click on this instance to see what's going on over there. So it is in pending state at this time. While it is running, let's scroll up a little bit and look at its attributes. So the private IP that it got is 172 range. It has not got a public IP yet. So the inbound rules are the ones we selected when we are creating the VM. So that's 3389. so that we can RDP from the public, right? It's still in pending. The key pair name is a web server name. AMI, what we selected is 2016 machine. It's a very normal life cycle. So all of these are the attributes that come up with that come with this virtual machine. So right now it's in running state, but that doesn't mean that you can connect to it yet. It is still doing the initialization checks. That's the public IP that it got. So you should be able to connect to this public IP, and that's a public DNS name, right? A lot of other things that you can do, like connecting a new network card, or connecting a new hard disk as well. So if you want to add a new volume to it, you have to go to volumes and create a new volume here, right? Right, so you can select a volume, any kind of volume that you want. Select the size, the hard disk size that you want. Minimum is 1 GB, maximum is a couple of terabytes. So it looks like 1.5 or 1 terabyte. In which in which availability zone you want to host. You will see this kind of a question in AWS exam as well. So if you are creating a volume in availability zone D, and your virtual machine is hosted in A, will you be able to attach this volume to the virtual machine? Yes, no?
Anand, can you repeat the question, please?
If you're creating a volume in D, if you're creating this volume in USA is D, 1D, and you want to attach this volume to a virtual machine which is hosted in A, will you be able to do it? Because my virtual machine is currently hosted on, let's see where it is hosted. Okay, the web server is hosted in 1C, right? The web server is in availability zone US East 1C, and I'm creating a new disk. I want to create a new disk in 1A, right? Question is, will I be able to attach a disk in 1A to a machine in 1C?
Yeah, my answer is yes. It's virtually connected, all the instances, and I'm thinking in that way.
Okay. Actually, no. You will not be able to attach it. Yeah.
There is some connection geographically, small latency connection. You told me in that way, right? Previously, so we can take it in that way.
Right. Right. Correct. So I just created one. And I will refresh this. Right. That's available in the news, and you can right click and attach volume and give that an instance ID. You see this, it is searching for an instance ID in 1A only because it was created in 1A. It was created in 1A, isn't it? But my virtual machine is in 1C. My virtual machine is in 1C, right? So the hard disk that I created is in 1A. So when I right click and say, okay, I want to attach it to the machine now, it is searching for an instance ID in in 1A, and it's not finding anything. So you cannot. Even if I do that, let's say I copy this, the instance ID, this is the instance ID. If I copy this and let's say paste it here and say attach, okay, D drive. You will not be able to do that. Okay, you have to use that. Regardless, you will not be able to attach it here because it is applicable only for 1A, right, Sagar?
Got it, Anand. Yeah, I got it now. Yeah, thank you so much.
Shilpa, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Right. We can go ahead and delete this volume and say delete, and that's gone. This is my existing hard disk which is connected to my virtual machine, right? This 30 GB hard disk is connected to my virtual machine over here. You can also create a snapshot of your machines. What is a snapshot? I'll just delete this. I'm not sure where it came from, but I don't care. AMI in use by AMI. Somebody created AMIs. Uh-oh. Anyway, which ways. So that's your virtual machine which you have, and that's almost ready now. And I was talking about snapshots. Snapshot is a term used in virtualization that will help you take a picture of that virtual machine, right? So once you take that picture, maybe picture is not a right word, but it's more like um, what do you say, the whole thing, or it's more like a backup and recovery.
Image? We can call it image, right, Anand?
Image, with the help of image you can create virtual machines, but with the help of snapshot you can create only one image or one machine out of it.
My question is, if you take the snapshot, so we call it that image, we can use it for just one time only?
No, you can use it several times, but
Multiple times,
an
right?
image can be customized. A snapshot cannot be customized. As you see, the
Oh, okay.
AMI images can be customized according to what you want, like the hard disks, the configuration, the port numbers, and all of that can be modified in the image. But in a snapshot, you cannot modify that.
Okay. It's like a screenshot. We can't change the screenshot, right?
Yeah.
We can take it in that way.
Correct.
So we can take the entire thing like a screenshot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we can't change the screenshot. Yeah, well, I got it.
Shilpa, do you understand what a snapshot is?
Yes, sir. I did.
So, just for explaining this thing, so if this is your server and it's got maybe a couple of applications, and you as a Windows server want to update it, and those updates may change the modification, may change the server configuration as far as the application is concerned, but you are really worried of the fact that the patches that you will be installing on the machine may change and the server may come down. So what you do as a precautionary step is create a snapshot out of it, right? And then go ahead and patch this machine. Once the patching is completed, you will test everything and see if that is working or not. If there are any problems that you identify, you can always revert back to this snapshot that you have created, so the machine will be in original state. That's what a snapshot is. So there is an option for you to take a snapshot somewhere here, image, maybe in the snapshot sections. You can say create a snapshot. There you can give the volume ID and things, so you will be able to create a snapshot out of it. Good. Okay, seems like the machine is ready. Let's go ahead and RDP to it. So I was just waiting for this 2x2 checks to complete. The machine is ready. You're gonna go MSTSC and paste it there. Say connect and connect, and that's it. So I have to type in the administrator, and the password is retrieved from the public key, the private key that we downloaded. So you say get Windows password and choose a file. It says the file name is web server, so we have to go to downloads, and there's a file called as web server, and that's it. Decrypt it. That is a password, and say okay. Okay, now a lot of organizations will not in real time, a lot of organizations will not continue to use this PEM file because there is always a fear of losing it, or if somebody steals it, they can always decrypt the password from there. So they will log into the machine and go ahead and change the Windows password to whatever standards the organization has. Any questions? Okay.
No, sir.
So once you're logged in, you have to create. You have to go to computer management. compmgmt.msc is the command. From here, you can connect to the local resources and reset your password. Let's go here, local resources, users and groups. Click on users, you will see administrator, right? And you can reset the password to whatever your company says. So now, from now on, you'll never need your PEM file at all. Even if you lose it, that's okay, but don't lose this password now, yeah? Now, because this password is changed, the password that you generate from here will not work, right? So you can either use that or this. Here it will show you that it has got 1 GB RAM and the architecture that it's selected. Its availability zone is 1C. You got a T2 micro instance. Your public IP is that, and private IP is this. Yeah. Are you good so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great then. Sagar?
Yes, Ananda, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. You might have already done this kind of baby steps for you, but just in case, that's how we got to start. What
Yeah, I did it.
what we're gonna do tomorrow is we'll create a ELB, elastic load balancer. So this one, we'll go ahead and create a load balancer in the cloud. Sagar, have you created an ELB?
No, Anand, actually in the real-time environment side, I didn't create it much. I just gone through the documentation. Practical side, so I didn't do it.
Okay, we'll do that tomorrow. So what is an ELB? Let me explain that. So what you have is most of these organizations will host a website, right? They will host a website on their web servers, and these websites are behind a firewall. And from the external world, uh, like people like you and me have to access this website. To access this website, what you will need is port number 80 to be opened from the internet. So if you have to write a rule, how do you write a rule? If you have to write a rule, you have to write what? Source, destination, port number, protocol, right? And the status. In this case, which is a source? Source is internet. Internet is 0.0.0.0/0, which is anywhere. Destination is, of course, it's your instance or your ELB, or your EC2 instance, whatever. Port number is 80 because you will be accessing the web traffic from the external, yeah, as an e-commerce application. You want to access Amazon.com or any other shopping site for that matter, then port number 80 is what you have to open. Protocol is TCP, and status is allow. That's what you got to write on the rule. That's a rule, right? So if you are hosting your website if you're hosting your website on only one server, then the traffic will be hitting, let's say that's a web server. I'm going to write it here. Right. So the traffic is going to the web server. That line, that horizontal line, sorry, the vertical line is a firewall. So from the internet, you are accessing your web server, right? So one fine day, there's a sale going on and there's a lot of traffic getting into your web server. So this web server will not be able to handle all of that load. So what do? You create another web server. Maybe create multiple web servers in different regions. So this is in 1A. Let's say you create in US East 1A, and you create this one in US hyphen East hyphen 1B, and you create in this one in US hyphen East hyphen 1B. That is in 1C. So you create in different availability zones for redundancy purposes. So if one goes down or the entire availability zone goes down for whatever reasons, man-made destructions or natural destructions or whatever disasters, if one of the availability zone goes down, the other regions are still serving the purpose, right? So what you do is create a load balancer in front of them and call it as a load balancer. The purpose of the load balancer, as the name says, is to balance the load, right? So if there is a traffic going on, the traffic number 1 goes to the web server 1, the traffic number 2 goes to web server 2, the traffic number 3 goes to web server 3, traffic 4 goes to web server 1, and they just go as round robin. So just one server is not over allocated with resources, right? Or it's just not pumped up with the traffic. The traffic is evenly distributed between the servers. So you can create a load balancer and put a couple of these web servers behind the load balancer, and then open up the ports from the internet and say, okay, from the internet you can access my load balancer on port number 80. From the load balancer you can have these servers as a group connected to the load balancer. Is that clear? Everybody? Anil, Sagar, Shilpa? No? Yes? Maybe? Hello?
Yeah, Anand, I got it. So,
Shilpa, you understand this? What is a load balancer? It's not like star topology. You're confusing it with the network topologies. It is it's a load balancer. You can consider this as your e-commerce website. You might have done online shopping several times. So when you go to ebay.com, it will eventually hit one of those web servers, right? The traffic has to go to the web server. What I'm saying is that if you create if you just have one web server and the whole world is going to just one web server, then that web server will not be able to handle so much of traffic. Let's say this server, the web server over there, has only 4 GB of RAM. This has 4 GB of RAM, 2 cores of processor. Do you think a machine with 4 GB of RAM can handle so much of load? No. So you will create multiple machines that will be behind the load balancer, and the load balancer will be sending requests to web server 1, then web server 2, then web server 3, like that.
Yes, sir, got it.
Good. Anil? Okay. So what we will be doing tomorrow, we will be creating 3 virtual machines. So let's say we'll create 2 virtual machines. We'll create 2 VMs One will be in 1A availability zone, US East 1A. So VM1 will be in US East 1A and VM2 will be in US East 1C. Yeah. Once that is done, you log into it. Oh my god. You log into the servers and install IIS on it. IIS is used to make it a web server. If you want to make it a web server, then that's what IIS is for. Then we'll put HTML files on top of it. You will already have a file. You will modify that file. Modify the default file. Access the website externally, right? That's because the VM1 will get a public IP, isn't it? VM1 will get a public IP. Let's say it gets a public IP. We get a public IP 1 and it's got a public IP 2. So you will access it from the external, that's your laptop, http:// public IP 1, and you will also access the second website, which is http:// public IP 2. Yeah, but now you have to put them behind a load balancer. So you'll create a load balancer and put both of those machines, which is VM1 and VM2, behind that load balancer. Now this load balancer will also have a public DNS name, and now you access it with http:// the IP of load balancer now. So you should be redirected to VM1 or VM2. So next time you access it again, it should take you to VM2. Next time you access again, it will take you to VM1. Fourth time, it will take you to VM2. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tomorrow we will do this. That's the activity for tomorrow. We'll create a live load balancer, modify certain websites, and get that done. Okay, we'll wrap up today unless you have any questions. No? Silpa, I think you had a few questions when I asked initially. You said that you want to ask a few questions.
Yeah, I'll mail it. Sir.
You mail it to me.
Because I have written in a paper, yes, sir.
That's my email address. Please email it there. Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Okay. Great.
Okay, thank you.
Anil, you're clear with all of these concepts?
I cleared with all of these topics.
You already know AWS?
Not sir. Not much. I know a little bit.
Okay. Please feel free to shoot an email if you don't like to ask. So, that's okay. You can shoot an email. I'll be happy to respond over there. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Bye, Sagar. Bye, Anil. Shilpa. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Good night.
Thanks, sir. Good
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.